creationists regularly call what they're doing science. They call it creation science, intelligent design theory. But one of the things that came out of the trial was the ruling that calling it science didn't make it so. Okay? You have to really look at the content. Now, this is how we need to teach about science, and evolution is part of science. And as teachers of biology, teachers of evolution, I think you need to use that as an example, and it's really a great example. Evolution really is science done right, and you ought to use it as a way of illustrating how science is done. Now, the fact that it's so basic really probably doesn't penetrate the public consciousness because of the way creationists have been very successful at getting it called into doubt. For example, this warning label from science textbooks in Cobb County, Georgia, every student would see this pasted on their biology textbook. This textbook contains material on evolution. Evolution is a theory, not a fact, regarding the origin of living things. You know, it's kind of like the warning sticker you have on cigarettes, right? It's like, watch out, evolution in here, don't smoke it. That's what the message that students are given through this kind of warning sticker. And notice what's being purported here. It's using the scientific notion, which we actually, of course, use, evolutionary theory, but trading on the colloquial notion of that. Theory, as the person on the street thinks of it, is, hey, that's your theory, this is my theory, anybody's guess, anybody's hunch. That, of course, is not the sense in which evolutionary theory, like gravitational theory, cell theory, relativity theory, that's not the scientific sense of theory. And part of what you ought to do as a science teacher is get across that notion of what a scientific theory is and how that's different from just a guess, right? A scientific theory is something that is a well-supported body of hypotheses supported by the evidence. Evolution isn't a theory in crisis. Evolution is fundamental. Hesse quoted one example of that. Here's just another one from Science a few years back, with a subquote here from Theodosius Dobzhansky, one that is very familiar, that really nothing in biology makes sense except in the light of evolution. And the people just take that for granted now. And part of what I'm suggesting is that we don't just take that for granted, that we make it explicit, right? That we reveal this in our teaching. It shouldn't be subliminal. It ought to be right out there as a great example of science done right.